Okay. What's going on, people? It's your boy Brandon Brevon Towns, host of that show called Sports Plus Life. And you already know what's going down today. So guess what? Get what? Now turn it off, turn it all the way off, boy. Yes. What's good, everybody? Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Brandon Brevon Towns, and this is Sports Plus Life, that sports show where we talk about all them their hot topics that need to be talked about, and we discuss life, and boy, life has been in the forefront, but I actually got some sports today, but we will get into all of that in just a bit. So I hope everybody's doing good. You know, it's summertime. I know summer doesn't officially start until said date. I want to say June 21st, I think maybe Father's Day or something like that. But I told my son the other day, I said, once it hits June, it's summertime. I don't need the technicalities and all that other nonsense. Once it's June 1st means that it is motherfucking summertime. That's what it is. But it's hot. It's hot. These days, driving, delivering for Amazon, it'd be hot. It'd be hot in the buh. But it's 81 degrees and cloudy right now. But it is Wednesday, June 10th, 2020.
Biatch.
And boy, do we have some things to talk about today. I did not do a podcast last week because it was so much stuff going on in the world. This is not going to be the longest podcast today. I'm going to condense some things, but I definitely want to get my point across. So without any further ado, let's get to it. Okay. Unless you've been under a rock and living in another universe, everybody knows about the civil unrest, that has been going on since the murder in broad daylight on camera of George Floyd by former Minnesota police officer Derek Chauvin. Of course, it has sparked worldwide outrage, protests, riots, and last week I was so ingrained into the television as far as watching everything that was going on in the world and watching how everybody was reacting to different things that I just didn't do a podcast. I really just didn't. And also I've been out protesting. Like I said, my last show, I said I was going to go and protest. I did. And then last Sunday, me and my wife, we went to a protest in Eastern Henrico at St. Paul's Baptist Church, our church, and we protested, and it felt good. You know, it definitely felt good, and I just want to weigh in on that because, you know, you had 3 different funeral services for George Floyd, National Day of Mourning for George Floyd, and what I had been worrying about is, you know, if it was just going to stop right there, you know, because basically I guarantee you what the people who truly don't like what's going on, what they are waiting for is for life to just get back to normal, as in the way things have always been. And what we are sitting here saying as a people is fuck that. We don't want things back the way they were because the way the things were not working. It's not working. It's worked, particularly for black people. It has worked against us for over 400 years. And now finally, for the first time, maybe in the history of the world, everybody around the world, different ethnicities, are looking and are paying attention and are standing with us in this fight against systemic racism and getting true equality. Because right now, I'm just going to be flat out raw right now with everything that I'm about to say. I'm going to be raw. I'm going to be unapologetic. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but this is Sports Plus Life. I say what the fuck I want, how the fuck I want, when the fuck I want. Okay? And like I said, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but so if you take it the wrong way, I'm sorry. But this is the conversations that never want to be had, particularly when you're talking with somebody in America. If you're talking with a white person in America, seeing as how now a lot of them are woke, we gotta bring this out. You know, I was in a Zoom meeting with the drama ministry in my church yesterday, and what I was explaining to some of them was, you know, how we are all happy and we are all, you know, just thrilled that people of other races in other countries have taken note to this and are standing with the African American community. Everybody screaming around the world, Black Lives Matter. Everybody around the world screaming George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery. But now this is the conversation that needs to be had, because if change is going to happen, change needs to start at the top. And one problem that I still have is, while you have a nation, a world, a global effect of people who are now woke by a vicious act where a black man was literally executed in broad daylight on television by an arrogant, evil white man who has the authority of where he's supposed to protect and serve. And while people around the globe outside of the black community was like, whoa, we were like, are you joking again? Because let's not forget, that was the third notable killing of an unarmed black person in the month of May. In the month of May. Okay. At the beginning of the month, Ahmaud Arbery. And that one almost resonates with me more, because if you see that video, he was literally run down like a dog, like a wild animal in the street, and executed. And we come to find out that the son who pulled the fatal shots called him a fucking nigger after he shot him. May you rot in hell. May God have mercy on your soul. And then Breonna Taylor. Then the white woman who was crying wolf in New York. And then George Floyd was a tipping point. Okay, so if you want to see change, my problem is, for one, I still see a lot on social media, the people who are just totally against this, the people who are with their law and order president, and he has shown how divisive a figure he really is. And excuse me, my problem is there are still old, stuck in their way white men who are at the top of the totem pole when it comes to the ability to make change in this country. Because I would not be surprised if there was a government official, an older government official, who was just sitting back and saying, yeah, let them motherfuckers keep protesting. Boy, are we gonna snatch the rug from up under them. I don't want to be pessimistic. I'm just trying to be cautiously optimistic, because we haven't seen anything like this. This does feel different. I just want the results to be different too. And I still have cause to pause when I think about that, because I'm not trying to be funny. You still have to deal with majority white men in America with power, who all of them ain't woke. And you have a divisive son of a bitch in the White House who still gets billion-dollar corporate dollars, okay, who sponsor him and will fund his campaign, okay? So what we have won right now, because I don't want to sit here and say we haven't won anything. No. What we've won right now is the attention. What we've won is, for decades and centuries, black people were singing "We shall overcome." Now we have the world saying "We shall overcome" with us. Okay? So when I say I'm being real because there are a lot of people out there who do not want to see change. And when we talk about the history of America, the history of America is so contradictory, it will make your head spin, dog. I promise you. When I sit here and when I hear these people on these sports talk shows saying we need to change because we need this country to live up to what was written in the Constitution for what America is supposed to be. And see, here's the tricky thing about that, right? Because if you look at the history of this country, America has lived up to what America is meant to be. Why? Because all of these rules, the Constitution, Bill of Rights, all of that stuff was written for white men by white men. It didn't even include white women. Black people were not seen as people. We were seen as property. We were seen as commodity. Okay? And that's the truth. So when I hear people say that, I'm like, well, actually America has fit the bill. Because this country, which was founded on rioting, on looting, on murder, on slavery, on armed robbery, rape, and some more stuff. This is America. This is America. Okay, and I will say that I've said this before. I will say this again. I'm not racist. I'm a realist. I'm aware, and I'm not afraid to talk about. I'm not afraid to sit in front of a white person's face and tell you the truth about how this country was founded. Not that little bullshit that they teach you in the history books. Those things need to go. Those things need to be thrown in a fire pit and burned because it's not accurate. Okay? In the history of this country, maybe even the history of the world, the most cruel, the most violent, the most conniving, the most evil person in the history of this country has been the American white male. Now, again, I said, if I'm offending you, then go to another YouTube flick. I'm not saying this to be racist. I'm saying this because I'm being factual. Okay? The forefathers of this country, the motherfuckers who's on Mount Everest, maybe outside of Lincoln, slave owners. George Washington, father of our country. It's a fucking slave owner. Thomas Jefferson, who wrote the Declaration of Independence, a fucking slave owner who fucked his slaves, had kids with his slaves. Fucking slave owner. Okay? The people who founded this country, slave owners. But they want all the credit. You get to remake the laws that you broke. The laws that you made, the laws that apply now, are laws that people who founded this country, they broke. You go to jail for stealing, you steal a country. You go to jail for murder. You murdered Native Americans. You murdered black people throughout history. But we glorify these people. We have statues on Monument Avenue, and I swear I hope they take every last fucking one of them down. I really do. I hope they take every last one of them down. I hope they take every last Confederate flag down. Now, mind you, I grew up in Highland Springs, so I done seen a few Confederate flags, and I'm very cool with some people who have donned Confederate flags because I know them as people. Matter of fact, I just had 2 t-shirts made. One says, "I was born black, please don't shoot," and another one says, "I was born black, but born not guilty." And this was a white couple who I grew up with. I've known them for 25 years. And I love them. I love them. They're like my brother and sister. They reached out to me about making these t-shirts. Okay? But I also know that there's a Confederate flag that dawns. That does not change my judgment about them. Like I said, I love them. I have always loved them. I always will love them. But I will say this about the Confederate flag. The Confederate flag stands for oppression. It stands for bigotry. It stands for an army called the Confederate Army that wanted to keep slavery. So that's how I feel about the Confederate flag. This thing with the statue of Robert E. Lee and the person, descendant of the original person who funded the statue, which got it another 10 days. Go kick rocks, you son of a bitch. Why don't they bring the statue to your house? That's that way, so you know you always have it. Why don't they bring the statue to your house? Because all up and down Monument Avenue, if you go on my Facebook timeline, when I did the first protest at Monument Avenue, and there was a disagreement, it was really, really silly. Just this dude, I mean, he just, let's just say it had a very positive resolution. But he was trying to clean up graffiti that was sprayed, during one of the protests. And a group of people, mainly white, was saying, yo, what are you doing? This is not the time to clean that up. So he said, but, property damage is wrong. What does that symbolize? And I said to him, I said, hold on, time out, partner. Look at that statue right there. Statue of Robert E. Lee. I said, that motherfucker symbolizes oppression, slavery, supremacy. I said, clean that shit up. Every statue on Monument Avenue represents that. It's like they put those monuments there to keep us in our place. Fucking change the name of the school, Stonewall Jackson. You don't glorify this man. You don't glorify Stonewall Jackson. You don't glorify Robert E. Lee. You don't glorify Thomas Jefferson or George fucking Washington. You don't glorify these slave trading sons of bitches. And that's exactly how I'm gonna call it. These slave trading sons of bitches that thought I was nothing but a piece of property. Who thought less of me just because of the color of my fucking skin. You don't glorify those people. No. And they've been glorified for far too long. Far too long. All of that stuff needs to come down, but it don't stop there. Okay, you take down statues, you change school names, you change street names. Okay, whatever. It don't stop there. It has to come where it is in writing, where it is law. I'm so with Stephen A. Smith when he said that a policeman killing an unarmed black man should be a hate crime. Okay? The guy who on Sunday revved up his pickup truck and ran it into people outside of a protest right off on Lakeside Avenue here in Richmond, Virginia, who happens to be the self-appointed leader of the KKK in Virginia, that motherfucker needs to be charged with a hate crime. Fuck that bitch. Period. He a pussy is what he is. That's exactly what he is. He's a flat out pussy. Because what did we do to him outside of being black? And he's my age. What makes him so goddamn better than me that he thinks he's superior because of the color of his skin and the color of my skin? Fuck you, faggot. That's simple. Okay, and like I said, I'm being real. I'm being raw. Straight up. The history of this country is shit. It is. The history of this country, if you look at the true history of this country, it is shit. I'm sorry, but there have been white people throughout history that want to take the credit for the country's economy, an economy that was built off the backs of slaves. Your lazy ass didn't want to do nothing, so you didn't want to build it yourself. So you wanted to come and take it by force, and then you want to seem like you're this great man. What? Drew Brees wanted to make a big deal about the flag. The flag. I would never. You see how quick he changed his mind. You see how quick he tried to clean that up. I done said that. I don't want to hear shit about no damn punk ass flag. My grandfathers fought in the war. So what? So did mine. And my grandparents still had to go in a separate bathroom, still had to go in the back of restaurants, and still was called a nigger when they came back after fighting for this country. Now he's tried to clean it up. I'm skeptical about some of these people's apologies or some of these, statements by corporate people, because this is the wave right now, and you want to make sure you keep them dollars coming. but the NFL stunned me.
It has been a difficult time for our country, in particular, Black people in our country. First, my condolences to families of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and all the families who have endured police brutality. We, the National Football League, condemn racism and the systematic oppression of Black people. We, the National Football League, admit we were wrong for not listening to NFL players earlier and encourage all to speak out and peacefully protest. We, the National Football League, believe Black Lives Matter. I personally protest with you and want to be part of the much needed change in this country. Without Black players, there would be no National Football League. And the protests around the country are emblematic of the centuries of silence, inequality, and oppression of Black players, coaches, fans, and staff. We are listening. I am listening. And I will be reaching out to players who have raised their voices and others on how we can improve and go forward for a better and more united NFL family.
And you know, that's real good. Like, I was stunned. I was stunned because it came particularly right after Donald Trump had tweeted his disapproval of Drew Brees apologizing about the statement that he made for the flag. So that, you know, that was really cool that Roger Goodell would do that. So you admit that. And it was funny is that we came to find out that not all of the NFL owners knew, but you know what? Who cares? Because it needed to be done. All right. There's certain NFL owners that you haven't heard from. And I'm not surprised at all. Jerry Jones. He's probably a classic example of how he likes things just fine the way that they've been. But got to do one more thing, Roger Goodell. You admitted that you was wrong about having an issue with players peacefully protesting. You got to say it, dude. You got to say his name. And that person is Colin Kaepernick, because he started it. 2016, he tried to tell people, and people ostracized him, made him a pariah, took away his career. And don't sit here. If we're going to be honest, if a change is going to come, then we have to sit here and stop with the notion of, well, it's football related reasons why Colin Kaepernick did not get signed by another team. Bullshit, and everybody knows it. You just go ahead and admit it, because we already know. There are some horrible quarterbacks that are in the NFL that have gotten a job since the Colin Kaepernick did his protest. So come on, man. You want to truly make this right, whether Colin Kaepernick signs with another team or not. I think he deserves the public apology. He deserves that, because he tried to tell, because what he was kneeling for 4 years ago, the whole world is kneeling for now. So you need to vindicate him publicly. And you honestly just need to say, Colin, we were wrong. We're sorry. That's it. Because what are people gonna say? Oh, they admitted that they colluded to keep him out of the NFL. Man, we already knew that. You know what I'm saying? We knew that after 2000. We knew that after the first season he wasn't in the league. You're not telling us nothing we don't already know. Duh. God damn it. I mean, for real. Duh. They were going to use him as the example of stay in your place, boy. Okay? So I had to come real. I had to come emotional. I had to come raw, because we need to start telling the truth. And the fact of the matter is, this country was founded off of pure hatred. Pure hatred, pure racism, bigotry, murder, robbery. This country was founded off of violence. And then you wonder why people are violent. It's what this country was founded on. It was. And the rules that were written, I think the Constitution needs to be totally redone, because it was not for black people. It was not for black men, black women, white women. It wasn't for none. It was strictly for white men. Okay? People need to lose their privileged tendencies. If you really want to make America great for the first time, not make America great again, if you want to make America great for the first time, truly make it a level playing field. Matter of fact, Reparations, I've said that before too. They need to happen. Don't sit here and tell me that reparations can't happen. No, it can happen. No, it needs to happen. That's what should be demanded. Okay, you got about 45 million black people. If you gave each grown black adult $10 million for their reparations check, it would not even come close to the $1 trillion bill that was passed for the stimulus checks. Just saying. I'm just saying. Of course, it'll happen. It will definitely have to happen after the elections because this bozo got to go. And that's another thing I'm going to say again. You're going to really find out how much your vote counts come November because Biden should wipe the floor with Trump. You should know who the new president is by the 6 o'clock news. I promise you that. In the 6 o'clock news in the Eastern time zone, you should already know. You should already know. But, okay, now I can get into sports. The NBA will be returning July 31st. 22 teams. They're going to be playing in the Disney Complex in Orlando. Basically, the 22 teams, 9 teams from the Eastern Conference and 13 from the West. They'll have, I think, about 8 games just to determine fairly the playoff scenario. You know, there were teams that didn't get invited, but those were teams that didn't have a prayer in hell to make the playoffs, like the Bulls, the Knicks, pretty much most of the Eastern Conference. Yeah, the Bulls, the Knicks, the Golden State, unfortunately, the Timberwolves, you know, so the Atlanta Hawks. So Vince Carter's career is officially over. So this is going to be crazy because now you're talking about a season resuming in July 31st, and the players will have officially had 4 months off. They will have pretty much had an off season. They will have had an entire off season to resume the rest of a current season. You know, this season is unprecedented, and, you know, I'm going to say most odds are going to go to the Lakers to win. And me personally, I still think that the Clippers are going to win. I mean, just honest, I think the Clippers are a better team. I think the Clippers will beat the Milwaukee Bucks, who I believe will eke by in a 7-game Eastern Conference Finals. I believe that they will eke by the Toronto Raptors. I think people have slept on the Raptors because Kawhi Leonard is not there. The Raptors have absolutely been balling. When the season came to a halt, I think the Raptors had won 16 of 17 games. The Raptors were flat out. Their record at that point in time, this season was better than it was last season when they had Kawhi and won the championship. So, we'll see. One thing I do like, because honestly, I think the scheduling is horrible. If it was me, and I've said this before, I would have continued the season the 4th of July weekend. That way you could have concluded the season by Labor Day weekend, so that way you wouldn't have to come into contact with playing at the same time as the NFL. But, you know, it is what it is. I'm going to take it how I can get it. October is going to be quite a month. September and October are going to be quite a month because you're going to have the NFL. We know every game is important in the NFL. And then you're going to have the NBA playoffs. What I do like about it is that, you know, they're going to be playing back-to-backs and fuck a load management. I think I've been on record as saying I think load management is ridiculous. So I'll get further back into the NBA once we get around the end of July. And let's just bring it back. Let's just bring it back. Let's bring these sports back best we can. I mean, of course, we want everybody to be safe. And boxing came back last night. Hey. Boxing came back last night. Shakur Stevenson improved to 14-0 after his 6-round TKO victory last night. And there will be another fight card on Thursday. So Top Rank, you know, they're getting these fights out there. And today, a major announcement was made by Tyson Fury. Have a listen.
Hello there. I'm just after getting off the phone with Daniel Kinahan. He's just informed me that the biggest fight in British boxing history has just been agreed. Get up there, my boy! Big shout out, Dan. He got this done. Literally over the line. 2-fight deal. Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua next year. One problem. I just got to smash Deontay Wilder's face right in the next fight. And then we go into the Joshua fight next year. So there we are. The Gypsy King versus AJ is on for next year, but there is a hurdle in the road called the Bronze Bomber, aka the Knockout King, and I will get onto him and knock him spark out, and then we got on to the big fight. So big thank you, Dan, for getting this deal over the line. All the best. God bless you all. See you soon. Peace out.
All right, so you see that has been made, a 2-fight deal between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. But like he said, one problem. Got to take care of the Bronze Bomber first. And, this is one risk that you can have when you sign contracts for fights and you still have to fight another fight beforehand. Sometimes that plan can be skewed, because what if Deontay Wilder lands a Sunday punch this time and Tyson Fury doesn't get up? Tyson Fury is clearly the better, more superior boxer to Deontay Wilder. I mean, that's not even a question. But now this was a third fight that was supposed to happen July 18th, the day before my birthday. The pandemic has clearly wiped that out, so I'm pretty sure they will be fighting around the end of fall, maybe the beginning of winter, for their third and final. I'm not gonna say the final fight, you never know, but for their third fight, the rubber match. Because if Deontay Wilder wins, you may need to fight a fourth time, because then you have a draw, you have a Fury victory, then a Wilder victory, so you never know. I mean, and then with Anthony Joshua, who knows if we're going to have another Andy Ruiz sighting where somebody just comes in there and plugs Joshua and takes the belts. I mean, remember, Mike Tyson had a contract to fight Evander Holyfield in June of 1990 for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. And then February 10th, 1990 happened, and a fellow by the name of James Buster Douglas pulled off the biggest upset in the history of boxing, and we didn't see Tyson Holyfield till 6 years later. So I'm just saying, things like that happen. But it's good that they're making the steps. And me personally, I wanted to see Wilder versus Joshua first. I wanted to see that more than Fury versus Joshua. Look, to be quite honest with you, Tyson Fury will mop the floor with Anthony Joshua. He will. He will. And Anthony Joshua's a good heavyweight, but I don't feel the same way about him that I did after the Andy Ruiz fight. Now, that's not saying that couldn't change. That's not saying that he couldn't be absolutely dominant. But what I'm saying is, Joshua looks like he could be had. He obviously has a suspect chin. Now, Tyson Fury's strength has never been punching power. He's a masterfully skilled boxer. But you saw what he did to Deontay Wilder. And I don't know, whether Deontay Wilder said it was the costume or whatever, I'd have still kept that to myself. But Tyson Fury, you better be careful. Because now Deontay Wilder's going to take that personal as, oh, y'all just overlooking me. Y'all just thinking I'm just saying shit now. I've only lost one fight in my professional career. I possibly have the hardest right hand in the history of boxing. So what you've done is you've really motivated the Bronze Bomber, and that's my guy. You have truly motivated the Bronze Bomber to really come show up and show out. So sports is coming back. It is coming back. Major League Soccer is about to come back the first week of July, which I think is when the NBA should come back. Baseball might not come back at all. They can't seem to reach an agreement. Fuck them. I don't want to see baseball anyway, because if you're a cheater, you can win in baseball. That's what we have learned. But with that being said, where the buzzer, where the buzzer, where the buzzer. All right, man, it's been so much going on over the last couple of weeks, man. Life has just been crazy, man. It's a different time in the world that I never thought that I'd see. And I mean, it's crazy that I have a 90-year-old grandmother who has seen it all. And I can imagine maybe this even feels different to her. And I just continue to pray that all elders can live to see the actual change take effect. And also, let me shout out my homeboy Slugger, Reggie. Saw him at the protest at St. Paul's when we marched to the Little League field. And I know he's coaching. You know, anybody who's doing the coaching with the Little League football with the youth, that's great, because I think that is well needed, because we're at a time in life where I honestly, and this has nothing to do with race, we're at a time in life where parents, and more now than ever, are more focused on what they have going on in their life than their kids. We've allowed social media, and we've allowed technology to raise our children now, because we're into the social media and the technology too. And we hand the kids electronic devices or this, that, and the third, just to really get them out of our hair. And I think I will commend anybody who's coaching Little League, anything, because the children deserve better. That's why this movement is so important. And like I said, this is what I was explaining to the Zoom meeting with my church, is that what you're seeing with these younger white people, you are seeing the effect of black culture, which is why they're marching with us. People don't understand how important the 90s hip hop culture was. And you're seeing it now in our athletes. You're seeing it now with our entertainers. People don't understand how important this culture is and how it has gotten people to say enough, because it's cool to dress like us. It's cool to do our type of music. It's cool to do our type of dancing. But it's also been cool to kill us like dogs. That's got to stop, bro. But with that being said, it's your boy Brandon Brevon Towns. This has been another episode of Sports Plus Life. If you're not a subscriber, definitely hit that subscription button. Become part of the Sports Plus Life family. Any questions, comments, and concerns, leave it in that comment box. I'm out here. Peace.